It is, sir.
Okay, perfect.
We're standing at the Montana State Capitol building in Helena, Montana. And I want to make sure that people pronounce that correctly.
Yeah,
one thing I'm trying to do. That's one thing I'm trying to do across all the capitals is educate people about the capitals and inspire them to come visit, and to also, in some cases, pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, a lot of people say Helena.
Yes.
It's very, the locals don't like that near as
Oh
much.
yeah, oh no, I'm sure, I'm sure.
So just tell me a little bit, when did this get started? How this, just take me back a little bit and kind of brief me on how this all got started for you.
Okay, it started 10 years ago when my daughter was younger, and I thought it'd be kind of neat to take her to all 50 capitals. We had been to 5 or 6. I thought, oh, that'd be nice. But it was just a passing thought. And then about 7 years later, or 3 years ago, I thought, let's try doing it in 50 days. 50 capitals in 50 days sounds catchy, and it sounds exciting. I think, to achieve goals, I really believe in setting big goals with short deadlines. I'm hoping this trip will also not only inspire people about the country, but inspire people about setting goals and realizing that almost virtually no goal is unachievable if you break it down to bite-sized pieces. And that's exactly what this trip is.
So when did you start?
I started the day after Labor Day.
Okay.
And I bought an old Lincoln for the trip because the trip is in the spirit of Abraham Lincoln. I thought, what better way of doing it than that? I'm a bit of a car collector anyway, and I thought, well, but this is a great road car, and I bought that to really send a symbol or a message to everybody about Abraham Lincoln, and in particular the Gettysburg Address.
Now, how are you able to fund this trip? Obviously, how's that going? Just from your own personal funding, or have you been having some help along the way?
Actually, we've had some donations, but I knew I could do it with or without donations. Though I think anybody who wants to support God, liberty, unity, and patriotism is certainly welcome to. But I really wanted to do it myself and to be able to hit the country, and it's really almost like a patriotic duty to go around every capital and celebrate the uniqueness of every capital in every state.
Now, tell me a little bit what's maybe been the best experience. You've obviously been to quite a few already. You said this is number 44? Is that what you said?
This is actually number 45.
45. Okay. So just tell me what capital or what experience is really something you're really going to remember maybe more than any other.
Well, your hometown is one of them. I think Lincoln, Nebraska. I was interviewed by Bill Steckes there, and he was so excited about patriotism. That's really what the spirit of this is. Now, I could go on and talk about how it's about God, liberty, unity, and patriotism. But you know what? If you love your country, then you go back to God, liberty, and unity. And I think Bill Steckes and that experience in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is only fitting, that was probably one of the most memorable. But there's been a few others too that really stand out.
Now, do you have some family and friends back home that maybe thought when they knew you were going to do this, that said, "Don't do this," or or they just all full support for you?
Oh, I think a lot of people think that you're a little crazy. Think about the idea. 50 capitals in 50 days is a big stretch, and I'm not a spring chicken, as my wife has been quick to point out. But in general, they know how much I love this country, and how much I really am a fan of Lincoln. And I believe that our formula for our future really you can find in our past. And the Gettysburg Address is one of those acres of diamonds in our own backyard that we just read it. We'll be able to buy back into and learn from the past what we need to do in order to make sure this country does survive and thrive.
Okay, final question for you. How are you able to reach out and how are you able to spread this message then to what you're saying you're trying to accomplish here?
It's only through people like yourself, different stations, and through we have Facebook. It's 50 Capitals. That's one big aha. 50 Capitals. It's the number 50. Capitals spelled with an O. It's 50 CAPITOLS. Most people don't know the difference between a capital with an O versus an A. That's why we were able to buy it 50capitals.com like 2 months ago. And so we do have that on Facebook. We do have that on our website, and it's really through concerned Americans and as well as just patriots in general that really want to see the merit of talking about God again, publicly in our buildings, of course. Liberty, and that was certainly front and center in the Gettysburg Address. Unity, which is what the purpose of the Civil War and the Gettysburg Address was for, and patriotism. And 'cause we want to make sure this country is around for generations to come, including yours.
Perfect, perfect. How many miles have you hit from start to where you are now?
Oh, I've put on just about 12,000 miles so far. I've had help 5 or 6 days doing some of the driving. That, of course, is count the flights and the drive in Alaska and Hawaii. But the goal always was to hit the capital in 50 days.
What's it? Okay, final, now here's the final one. What's the next capital or that you're hit to from Montana?
I'm going south and working my way back toward my home state of Illinois. So I'm going North Dakota, South Dakota. I'm going to Minnesota, Wisconsin, and then Illinois. The trip started in Gettysburg in front of the David Wills House, where Lincoln finished the Gettysburg Address and stayed the night before he delivered it. And it's only fitting and proper, as he said, to finish it in his home state at the Springfield Capitol, Springfield, Illinois Capitol, in Illinois, and then over to Lincoln too.
Okay, perfect. Anything else you want to add?
You know, this trip has really been, it's really about principles and patriotism, but what I've enjoyed most is the people. You know, it's the stories, the people that have come through. In many cases, I call them Capitol Angels. They just show up at the Capitol, both in and out of the Capitol. And I think it renewed and reinforced my belief in people's really desire to help others. And especially if you have a goal big enough, people will show up to help you accomplish it.
Perfect. All right. Thanks a lot. Perfect. Now I might grab some video of you. I don't know if you got any plans. You're here around.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
My name's Derek. I'm with the